Okay, Sheikh, go ahead, inshallah.
Inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma lakal hamdu milla samawati wa milla al-ardu wa milla ma shi'ta min shay'in ba'da. Wa nusalli wa nusallimu ala sayyidina wa rasulina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Brothers and sisters, it's my pleasure once again to welcome you to another episode in our series Illuminate Your Life. And today I have this beautiful tradition which is about the importance, the critical nature of dua in Islam. I hope by learning about this, we will be increasing our duas and supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and doing so consistently, diligently, consciously, mindfully. And may Allah honor me and you to do that, inshallah. I will read the tradition in Arabic and then translate and explain some of the beautiful meanings in order for us to enhance our understanding and practice of this beautiful uh, teaching of our beautiful religion. الدعاء هو العبادة ثم قال وقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم إن الذين يستكبرون عن عبادتي سيدخلون جهنم داخرين. الراوي النعمان بن بشير المصدر سنن الترمذي. Dua is worship. This is the statement of the Prophet. Nu'man al-Bashir says that the Prophet said, Dua huwa al-ibadah. Dua is worship. Explaining this, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he recited the verse from the Quran, وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمْ أُدْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. Your Lord says, call upon me, I will answer you. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ عَنْ عِبَادَتِي سَيَدْخُلُونَ جَهَنَّمَ دَاخِرِينَ. And those who are too proud to call upon me, to worship me by calling upon me, shall enter hellfire despised. The narrator is Nu'man ibn Bashir. We have mentioned his biography before. I am not going to repeat it. And it is the sources Sahih Turmudi and others. This is a great tradition. It teaches us the role of dua in the daily life of the believers. One may ask, why dua? The wisdom is mankind, even though we may deem ourselves independent and self-sufficient, we are always at the mercy of Allah, the Creator and Sustainer. Trials and tribulations and challenges we face in life may render us helpless, utterly helpless, weak and destitute. And in face of these challenges, we often feel distressed, worried, fretful, anxious, and crying out for help. So what do? Allah reminds us out of His mercy, there is no need for us to despair. And dua comes to our rescue. We can remove the distress and worries by turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who alone is the source of peace. Allah says in Surah 35, verse 15, this is a beautiful verse, and if we meditate on this, it should really open our eyes, and we see the broken-hearted nature, the desperate nature of the human situation. Ya ayyuhan nas, antumul fuqara'u ila Allah, wallahu wal ghaniyyul hamid. O mankind, you are needful, ever needful of Allah, and He alone is the self-sufficient, the praised. Allah is merciful towards His servants, and thanks to His infinite mercy, He made calling out to Him as a worship. This is a great thing. That's why Rasulullah said, Ad-du'a huwa al-ibadah. We read in another report, and some scholars question the authenticity of the report, but the idea itself, no doubt, it's an authentic concept. Ad-du'a mukhul ibadah. Dua is the marrow or the very kernel and essence of worship. Therefore, Allah orders us to call upon Him sincerely. فَادْعُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ So call upon Allah with sincere devotion, utterly depending upon Him. Isa alayhi salam said, like a child who is crying out, helpless, dependent on his mother. And Allah warns us against calling false deities, associating partners in worship, and invoking their help. وَلَا تَدْعُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَنفَعُكَ وَلَا يَضُرُّكَ فَإِن فَعَلْتَ فَإِنَّكَ إِذًا مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. And do not call apart from Allah on what neither benefits you nor harms you. If you do, you are then one of the wrongdoers, oppressors of your own soul. And we are also reminded that there is no need for us to turn to anyone because Allah is near. In fact, He is closer to us than our own souls. And He is ready to answer our prayer as long as we turn to Him in sincere devotion. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِي إِذَا دَعَانِي فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. It is reported a Bedouin came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and asked, "Is our Lord too close to us that we need to we ought to whisper, or is far away so that we should shout out our supplications?" The answer was revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when my servants ask you about me, tell them I am near. I answer the call of the caller when he calls on me. So let them answer me and have faith in me that they may be rightly guided. Allah describes Himself as the one who removes the distress. This should encourage us to turn to Allah and Allah alone in distress. أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَوْا وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. Who is it that answers the distress when they call upon Him, who removes their suffering? And the Quran tells us about His messengers, the ideal human beings, exemplars for humanity. إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا يُسَارِعُونَ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ وَيَدْعُونَنَا رَغَبًا وَرَهَبًا وَكَانُوا لَنَا خَاشِعِينَ. They were always keen to do good works, and they called upon us out of longing and awe, hope and fear, and humbled themselves before us. While citing there are so many stories of the prophets in the Quran, but while citing their examples, Allah teaches us to pour our hearts in prayer before them, before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even as they poured their hearts before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah tells us about Prophet Job. He was afflicted with so many diseases, rendering him utterly destitute and broken-hearted. Allah says, وَأَيُّوبَ, remember Ayyub, إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ أَنِّي مَسَّنِيَ الضُّرُّ وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. And remember Job, when he cried unto his Lord, truly affliction has befallen me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful. And then Allah says, the next verse says, فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ فَكَشَفْنَا مَا بِهِ مِنْ ضُرٍّ. We answered him and removed his suffering. And once again about Jonah, Prophet Yunus, Dhunnun, Allah says, وَذَنُّونَ إِذْ ذَهَبَ مُغَاضِبًا فَظَنَّ أَن لَّن نَّقْدِرَ عَلَيْهِ فَنَادَى فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ أَن لَّا إِلَٰهَ إِلَّا أَنتَ سُبْحَانَكَ إِنِّي كُنتُ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. And remember Dhunnun, Prophet Yunus, when he went away in anger and thought we had no power over him, then what happened? He was in a ship and it was overloaded and they want to shed some luggage. So Yunus alayhi salam immediately realized this is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for he had walked away from the people without Allah's permission. So this is a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He volunteered. He jumped into the ocean, into the sea. Immediately a whale devoured him. And while he was in the whale's tummy, he cried out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, saying, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minal zalimin. There is no God but thee, glory be to thee. Truly I have been among the wrongdoers. Then what happened? Allah says, فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْغَمِّ وَكَذَلِكَ نُنْجِي الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So we answered him and saved him from grief. Thus we do save the believers. So Allah reminds us. Allah also reminds us when the Allied forces laid siege to Medina, the hypocrites frightened the believers, and the believers responded, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah is sufficient for us. He is the best of helpers and protectors. And then Allah says, فَانْقَلَبُوا بِنِعْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَفَضْلٍ لَمْ يَمْسَسْهُمْ سُوءٌ. So they return with blessing and bounty from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, untouched by evil. And again, another lesson for a believer in Prophet Musa alayhi salam. When he was surrounded by the prods of Pharaoh and his people, he prayed to Allah, وَأُفَوِّضُ أَمْرِي إِلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَصِيرٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. I entrust all of my affairs to Allah. Truly Allah is well aware of the conditions of his servants. Then Allah says, فَوَقَاهُ اللَّهُ سَيِّئَاتِ مَا أَعْمَكَرُوا. So Allah shielded him and protected him from the evils of that which they had plotted. So it behooves every one of us to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all of our needs. While exerting ourselves, we must use all of the resources Allah has placed at our disposal. And when we do so and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the answer is guaranteed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Inna rabbakum hayyun kareemun yastahi min abdihi idha rafa yadayhi ilayhi an yaruddahuma sifra. Your Lord is shy and generous. He is too shy to turn the hands of his servant raised towards him, begging his mercy, empty. He will fill the hand, inshallah. The lessons: humankind are weak. We can never be independent of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Life exposes us to multitude of challenges. It's easy in face of the challenge for us to feel helpless, desperate and destitute. Allah is all powerful and He is in control of the affairs of them. Once we recognize this and we know the promise that He has promised to come to our aid when we call upon Him. That is one of the greatest lessons we learn from the stories of the prophets in the Quran. Allah tells us while narrating the stories that they were all in the habit of calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah did answer the prayers. And the same rule, Allah reminds us, applies. It is not exclusive to the prophets, to all believers who follow their beautiful examples. No wonder then that the Prophet's companions who were mentored by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam were always in the habit of praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in each and every situation they face in life. May Allah honor me and you to do that. Follow the beautiful examples of the exemplars of humanity, the prophets and the true believers. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.